Steam hissed from the espresso machine as I wiped down the copper counters of my first coffee shop in Seattle's Pike Place Market. The morning rush had just ended, leaving behind the rich aroma of freshly ground beans and the quiet satisfaction of another successful service. Still playing barista, little sister? I didn't need to look up to recognize my brother Marcus's condescending tone. He stood in his tailored suit, probably worth more than my first month's revenue, radiating corporate success and familial disappointment. "Good morning to you too, Marcus," I said, continuing to polish the vintage Italian espresso machine I'd restored myself. "What brings you to my humble shop?" He smirked, adjusting his Rolex. "Mom mentioned you missed Sunday dinner again. Too busy with your, what did you call it? Artisanal coffee concept." I thought of the real reason I'd missed dinner. A late-night meeting with investors about expanding Copper Cup Coffee into our 10th location. But Marcus didn't need to know that. "Not yet. Just trying to make this place work," I replied simply. "Oh, Emma." He sighed my name like a diagnosis. "When are you going to get serious?" "There's still an associate position open at Global Foods Corporation. Real business, real future. Not this hipster hobby." Global Foods Corp., where he'd climbed to Executive VP of Acquisitions, and where our father sat on the board. The family business I'd turned down 3 years ago to open my first shop. "I'm happy here, Marcus." He picked up one of our hand-stamped bags of single-origin Ethiopian beans, eyebrows rising at the price. $32 for coffee? This is exactly why small businesses fail. No one's going to pay these prices for fancy beans and copper cups. I didn't mention that we'd sold out of that particular roast 3 times this week, or that food critics had started calling from New York about our innovative brewing methods. I definitely didn't mention that Copper Cup's revenue had hit $12 million last quarter. "Thanks for the business advice," I said, taking the bag from his manicured hands and returning it to the shelf. "But I think I'll stick with my plan." "What plan?" "Running yourself ragged for tourists and hipsters." He gestured around the carefully designed space, the exposed brick walls, the gleaming copper fixtures, the antique roasting equipment I'd sourced from Italy. "This isn't a career, Emma. It's a phase." My phone buzzed in my apron pocket. Probably Jessica, my COO, with updates on the lease negotiations for our upcoming Vancouver location. We were going international, though Marcus still thought I was struggling to pay rent. "Maybe you're right," I said mildly. "But it's my phase to figure out." He shook his head, already turning to leave. "Well, when you're ready to join the real world, let me know. I hear Starbucks is always hiring managers." The bell above the door chimed as he left, and I allowed myself a small smile. Marcus had no idea that Starbucks had actually approached us last month, interested in our proprietary cold brew process. I'd turned them down, just like I'd turned down 3 other corporate buyout offers this year. My phone buzzed again. This time I checked it. "Meeting with Global Foods Corp. Confirmed for tomorrow, 9 a.m., Jessica's text read. "Their acquisition team wants to discuss the offer." I glanced out the window, watching Marcus's expensive car pull away from the curb. Tomorrow would be interesting. The next morning, I stood in my real office, the top floor of a renovated warehouse in Pioneer Square that served as Copper Cup's headquarters. The space perfectly embodied our brand. Historic brick walls, restored wooden beams, and state-of-the-art coffee research labs hidden behind vintage doors. "Their team is here," Jessica announced, tablet in hand. She'd been with me since the beginning, back when we were pulling 18-hour shifts and sleeping on bags of coffee beans. Now she ran operations for our rapidly expanding empire with precision and quiet pride. "And Marcus?" I asked, leading the acquisition team. She smiled. "He has no idea you're the owner, does he?" I smoothed my simple black blazer, Armani, though Marcus wouldn't recognize it without designer logos plastered all over it. "Let's keep it that way, at least for the first few minutes." The conference room doors opened, and Marcus strode in, followed by 3 Global Foods executives. He stopped short when he saw me, confusion crossing his face. "Emma, what are you doing here?" "This is a private meeting." I smiled, taking my seat at the head of the table. "I know. I called it." The Global Foods CEO, Richard Harrison, looked between us. "You two know each other?" "She's my sister," Marcus said quickly. "But I don't understand." "Ms. Stevens is the founder and CEO of Copper Cup Coffee," Richard explained, watching Marcus's face carefully. "The company we're here to acquire." The silence that followed was worth every dismissive comment, every condescending smile, every missed family dinner spent building something they couldn't see. That's impossible, Marcus stammered. She runs a coffee shop. One shop in Pike Place. Actually, Jessica interjected, sliding presentation folders across the table. Copper Cup currently operates 38 locations across the West Coast, with 12 more opening this quarter. Our revenue last year exceeded $86 million, with projected growth of 140% this year. Marcus fell into a chair, his usual poise shattered. But I've been to your shop. It's just coffee. Premium ethically sourced beans, I corrected. Proprietary roasting processes. 6 patents on brewing technology. And a brand that's been featured in Forbes, Business Insider, and Food and Wine as the future of artisanal coffee. Richard cleared his throat. We've been watching Copper Cup's growth for some time. Your innovation in the premium coffee market is exactly why we're prepared to offer $86 million for acquisition. I opened the folder in front of me, though I'd memorized every detail. That's a generous offer. Generous? Marcus found his voice. It's insane. For coffee shops. For a revolutionary brand, Richard corrected. One that's captured the market we've been trying to enter for years. He turned to me. We want to take Copper Cup international. With our resources and your vision. I appreciate the interest. I cut in smoothly. But Copper Cup isn't for sale. Marcus's head snapped up. Are you crazy? This is the kind of offer people dream about. I'm not people, I said quietly. And I'm not done building. Richard leaned forward. We can go higher. Much higher. I stood, smoothing my blazer. It's not about the money. Copper Cup is about crafting something authentic, something that matters. You'd turn it into another corporate chain, and I won't let that happen. This is business, Marcus snapped. Not some artsy coffee fantasy. No, I agreed. It's both. That's why we're succeeding while your corporate coffee division is losing market share. The room fell silent again. Marcus stared at the financial reports, at the growth projections, at the evidence of everything he'd dismissed as a hobby. The meeting's over, I said firmly. But Marcus, you're welcome to stay. I think we have some catching up to do. The Global Foods team filed out, Richard pausing at the door. If you change your mind. I won't, I said. But thank you for the offer. When they were gone, Marcus remained seated, still processing. His world had shifted, and I could see him struggling to adjust his perspective. How long? He finally asked. 3 years, I said, sitting across from him. Since the day I turned down that associate position. But you work in the shop. I've seen you making coffee, wiping tables. I work in all our shops. Every new location, I train the staff personally. It's part of maintaining quality, keeping it authentic. He shook his head slowly. Dad's going to. Dad knows, I cut in. Has for 6 months. Remember when he supposedly went golfing in Portland? He was touring our roasting facility. Marcus looked up sharply. He never said. Because I asked him not to. I wanted to succeed or fail on my own terms, not as someone's little sister or daughter. And now, I gestured around the office. Now I have nothing to prove. To anyone. He stood slowly, walking to the window. Below, Seattle's business district hummed with morning energy. I've been an ass, haven't I? Yes, I agreed. But an entertaining one. He turned back to me, and for the first time in years, I saw my actual brother. Not the corporate success story, not the family golden child, just Marcus. Show me, he said quietly. Show me what you've built. The tour took 2 hours. I walked him through the roasting facility, where our master roaster was developing new blends. Through the tech lab, where engineers were perfecting our latest brewing innovation. Through the training center, where baristas from across the country came to learn our methods. This is incredible, he murmured, watching a cupping session in progress. And you designed all of this? Every detail, I confirmed. From the copper fixtures to the training programs. And now Global Foods wants it. They're not the first. We've turned down 6 offers this year. He whistled softly. Because you want to keep it authentic? Because I want to keep it excellent, I corrected. Corporate ownership means cutting corners, maximizing profits over quality. That's not what Copper Cup is about. We ended up in my original shop, now quiet in the afternoon lull. Marcus looked around with new eyes, seeing beyond the hipster aesthetic to the carefully crafted details that had built an empire. I owe you an apology, he said finally. Several, actually. I started up the espresso machine, the same one he'd mocked earlier. Actions mean more than words. Want to learn how to make a proper cappuccino? He glanced at his expensive suit, then shrugged and reached for an apron. Teach me. That evening, I sat in my office reviewing expansion plans. Jessica appeared with fresh coffee, our new single-origin Brazilian roast. "Your brother stayed for 3 hours," she observed, learning basic coffee skills like a rookie barista. I smiled, remembering his focused expression as he practiced milk steaming. "People can surprise you." "Speaking of surprises," she said, "the London property contract came through. Want to sign now?" I thought of Marcus's face when he realized the scope of what I'd built while he wasn't looking. "Let's wait. I think I'll announce it at Sunday dinner." The next family dinner was different. My father beamed proudly as I explained our international expansion plans. My mother finally stopped asking when I'd get a real job. And Marcus, surprisingly, asked intelligent questions about coffee sourcing and sustainability practices. "I still can't believe you turned down $86 million, he said later, helping me clear dishes. I smiled. Some things are worth more than money. Like proving us all wrong. Like proving myself right, I corrected. There's a difference. The following week, I stood in my original shop again, brewing coffee for the morning rush. Not because I had to, but because I wanted to, because success doesn't mean forgetting where you started. My phone buzzed with a text from Marcus. Starbucks CEO asking about Copper Cup. Told him my sister doesn't sell excellence. Did I get that right? I smiled, crafting a perfect rosetta in a customer's latte. Perfect, I typed back. The bell above the door chimed as new customers entered, and I looked up to greet them, ready to share the passion that had built an empire, one copper cup at a time. If you've ever been dismissed for following your passion, if you've built something extraordinary while others weren't looking, share your story below. Sometimes the biggest successes start with someone saying, "It's just a hobby." Sometimes the best businesses grow from authenticity, not acquisition offers. And if you're still in the building phase, keep going. Keep crafting excellence, keep believing in your vision. The right people will see it eventually, and when they do, they'll understand why it was never for sale. Because true success isn't about proving doubters wrong. It's about staying true to your vision, even when others can't see it. It's about building something so authentic, so excellent, that eventually they have no choice but to notice. Remember, every empire starts with a single step, or in my case, a single cup of coffee. The key is to make it matter, make it authentic, and never let anyone convince you that your passion is just a phase. Keep building, keep believing, and most importantly, keep making whatever you do matter. Because at the end of the day, success isn't measured in acquisition offers. It's measured in the impact you make and the legacy you create. Subscribe to follow more stories about turning passion into empire, one authentic moment at a time. Thanks for watching. See you again in the next video. Stay stunned.